In a previous interview, you talked about struggling throughout the season. So what changed and how are you able to turn the page so that the end of the season went a lot better?
Lexie Hull entered the 2024 season teetering on the edge of obscurity. Drafted 6th overall in 2022, the former collegiate standout and national champion once radiated promise. But that spark dimmed fast in Indiana. Under coach Christy Sides, Hull found herself buried in the rotation, her minutes handed off to others as she watched from the bench. The silence around her grew louder. Whispers turned to doubt. Was this the end of a rising star's ascent, or just the beginning of a long overdue awakening?
You have basketball in your genes. Your grandfather played basketball, your dad, and you have a twin sister who you played basketball with growing up. What was it like growing up in that family dynamic?
Well, we have a super competitive family, and having my dad play basketball collegiately, knew that basketball was going to be put in my hands at an early age, but my parents were super excited about having us try every sport imaginable. So yeah, we grew up, my sister and I, playing a little bit of everything.
Then came Caitlin Clark, a walking headline, a generational talent whose arrival in the WNBA felt more like a seismic shift than just another draft pick. Her electrifying playstyle didn't just inject energy into the Indiana Fever's offense, it rewired the entire DNA of the team. Suddenly, the chemistry was different, the tempo, the expectations, everything. For players like Lexie Hull, Clark's presence wasn't just felt on the stat sheet, it was personal. The buzz, the media spotlight, the leadership she brought on and off the court, it sparked something. I think it was important to get to know her off the court.
It was important to get to know her off the court because I do think that, connections, getting to know people really play a part in the success of teams.
The 2024 season opened with a harsh reality check for Lexie Hull. Once the pride of Stanford's national championship squad and the 6th overall pick in the 2022 draft, she now found herself sidelined, reduced to a spectator on a team she once dreamed of leading. Just 2 years into her pro career, Lexie watched as names like Katie Lou Samuelson and Christy Wallace consistently earned the minutes she craved. The spotlight had shifted, and Hull was fighting to stay relevant in a league that rarely waits.
Called the clutch player by WNBA fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie Hull.
But for Hull, trusting the process was anything but easy. The shift from college stardom, where she led, scored, and shined, to the grind of the WNBA, where every minute had to be earned, was a mental mountain. The spotlight had dimmed, and the adjustment tested her confidence in ways she never imagined.
At the beginning of the season, my playing time definitely looked different than it did at the end. So trusting that, I was staying ready, putting in the work so that when I did get the minutes out on the court, that I could take full advantage of them. So I was just really proud of myself for trusting the process and staying.
The Fever weren't just stumbling, they were sinking fast. Kicking off the season with a crushing 1-8 record, frustration rippled from the stands to the sidelines. Fans were restless, demanding answers, and inside the locker room, the pressure was palpable. Every missed shot, every loss, added weight to an already fragile morale.
The basketball part of the transition is really tough. Everybody out on the court was one of the best players on their college teams, definitely the best player likely from their high school team. So it's just this mishmash of the best basketball players, and then you're playing against people that have been there for years and years.
Criticism came from every angle, blasting the team's rotations, porous defense, coaching decisions, and a glaring lack of chemistry. Headlines turned ruthless, and the noise outside the locker room grew impossible to ignore. Players were left to weather a storm of scrutiny, second-guessing, and rising frustration.
We're just sick that we had lost so many games, and also feeling like we were better than that.
Hull threw herself into the grind, using every practice as a proving ground. She sharpened her off-ball movement, fine-tuned her shooting, and focused on the little details that could turn limited minutes into game-changing moments. Through it all, she leaned on her teammates, their encouragement and belief fueling her fire when doubt crept in.
My role is just getting to the open spots, and we have such a good offense that people find the open person. So to be that open person, you get excited. You get excited for the opportunity to shoot and score and be part of the momentum.
Enter Caitlin Clark, the generational phenom whose arrival didn't just make headlines, it shook the foundation of the Indiana Fever. Famous for her logo range threes and unshakable swagger, Clark brought more than talent. She brought hope. She walked into a locker room craving direction and delivered instant electricity. From day one, the energy shifted. Ticket sales spiked, practices pulsed with intensity. Fans couldn't stop talking. Every drill felt like a statement. Suddenly, the Fever had more than potential. They had a pulse, and it started with Clark.
What is it like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston?
I mean, they make my job really easy, right? It's awesome. And it's really cool to see all of them just grow, not only from this year, but playing 3 years with Kelsey, 2 years with Aaliyah. They're so impressive.
We play against guys in practice, Hull said with a laugh. And if they're not winning, Caitlin's doing everything in her power to turn it around. That fierce competitiveness wasn't just a personality trait, it was contagious. Clark's intensity in practice set the tone for everyone around her, and once the lights came on, that same fire translated seamlessly to the court. Her court vision was uncanny, like she saw the game 2 steps ahead, leaving defenders guessing and often completely lost.
I think it's really fun because they garner so much attention, obviously, from the other team's defense, so then it allows the other players, me included, to make cuts, make reads, and they're really good at finding, those openings and giving the ball up when it's needed and finding the better shot. So it's really fun, and I feel really lucky to get to play with them.
Clark's ability to dissect defenses and thread passes through impossibly tight windows completely redefined the Fever's offense. What once felt stagnant now flowed with rhythm and precision. Players like Lexie Hull were suddenly finding themselves wide open, standing in space that hadn't existed before. "She's making passes I didn't even think were possible," Hull admitted, still in awe. With Clark on the floor, defenders collapsed on her, and in doing so, opened the floodgates for everyone around her to thrive.
I mean, I definitely got passes and tried to finish when I wasn't expecting to get the ball. So now it's okay, every cut I have, every cut I make, every fast break I run, I have a real opportunity to get the ball, which definitely took me a second, and I think it really just took one of those to really get my head around oh, she's all the way down at the other end of the floor and she could still make the pass to me down at the block at this end. So it's been awesome.
Clark's competitive fire wasn't just a spark, it was an inferno, igniting a sense of urgency in everyone around her. It didn't take long before her energy became infectious, pushing her teammates to elevate their game. Suddenly, the Fever. Players began to believe they could go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. But Clark's impact went beyond dazzling stats or highlight reel plays. It was about changing the culture. Lexie Hull spoke candidly about how Clark's maturity and leadership, both on and off the court, instantly connected with the team, shifting their mentality and fueling their drive.
It's so fun to be able to know that you're not just cutting to cut, knowing that you're cutting with the possibility of actually making a really cool play. So that makes it that much more worthwhile.
And step up they did. As the Fever began to gel, their offense morphed into a fluid, dynamic force that was hard to ignore. The game becomes so much more fun when you know you're cutting with a real chance to make a play, Hull said, reflecting on the transformation. With Clark running the show, the Fever weren't just playing, they were thriving. But while Clark's impact was undeniable, the question remained: was her arrival enough to reverse the course of a troubled season? The answer? It would reveal itself over the coming weeks, as the Fever's story was only just beginning.
Sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game. It's huge. And I think for me, especially as a point guard and as someone that's delivering a lot of the passes that lead to shots, if I miss, she's definitely going to say you got the next one. I can count on her for keeping me confident and positive. So yeah, I think that shows the player that she is and the leader she is as a point.
If you're still with us and enjoying the journey so far, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We know your time is valuable, and we truly appreciate you spending it here. Now let's dive back into the action and keep the momentum rolling.
It's really awesome to get to know her as well because, she's a great person, but you have all these expectations put on her and our team has put on her, and fans have put on her. So to see her kind of be so mature in that transition, it's been really awesome. And I'm just really proud to, have her on the team, and it's been exciting.
The Indiana Fever had a historic year. But what was it like to be a part of that transformation? I'm really grateful, Hull shared, her voice reflecting a sense of accomplishment. Grateful for the opportunity to not only play in the WNBA, but to be part of a team like the Fever. I've witnessed so much growth, not just in how we perform on the court, but in the way our fan base has evolved. The atmosphere on the road felt electric, almost like home games. We were playing in sold-out arenas, something we hadn't seen in the last 2 years. That kind of energy, it's just exciting. For Hull and her teammates, it wasn't just about the wins. It was about reigniting a passionate fan base and building something bigger than basketball.
Indiana Fever had a history-making year. What was that like for you to be a part of that?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to not only play in the WNBA, but to be on a team like the Indiana Fever. I've seen so much growth, not only on the team side, how we're performing on the court, but also the growth in fans. I mean, on the road, it felt like home games. We're playing in sold-out arenas that we have not played in the last 2 years before that. So, I mean, it's just really...
The Fever's journey from chaos to chemistry wasn't a quick fix. It was earned, one practice at a time. The true turning point didn't come in a game, but in the relentless work they put in behind the scenes. Lexie Hull recalled those intense scrimmages where Caitlin Clark's fierce competitiveness turned every drill into a test of will. If something wasn't working, Caitlin wasn't afraid to push us to fix it, Hull explained. Her energy was infectious. We knew we had to match it, Paul added, reflecting on how Clark's drive elevated everyone around her. Coaches began to take notice as the team's resilience grew stronger. What were once simple drills now felt like full-on battles. And from those battles, a new team identity was forged, one built on grit and determination.
All of it comes down to trusting the process, and part of that process is making sure that the work's getting...
During the Olympic break, Paul zeroed in on refining her cuts and fine-tuning her shooting consistency. We had a full month of practice, she shared, her dedication evident in her voice. With each session, her shooting percentages began to climb, and with every improvement, her confidence soared, unlocking a new level of performance.
I think one thing that our coaches did during that break, I mean, we had a full month of practice pretty much during the Olympic break, and they would put up every day after practice our shooting percentages from 2s and 3s during drills, during scrimmages, during everything. And I think that helped me because, some people will probably like, it's so annoying, whatever, but I personally like...
By the time the second half of the season arrived, Lexie Hull was no longer just a bench player. She had become a pivotal part of the Fever's offensive strategy. Much of this shift could be attributed to Caitlin Clark's arrival, which had a ripple effect on Hull's game. Clark's ability to draw defenders like a magnet opened up new opportunities for Hull to flourish. Kelsey and Caitlin draw so much attention, Hull explained, and that creates lanes for players like me to cut and find those openings. As Hull's confidence grew, the results of her dedication began to shine through. Her shooting percentages soared, and in crucial moments she stepped up, making key plays that helped push the Fever's momentum forward. It was clear, her hard work was paying off in a big way.
Numbers don't lie, unfortunately, and they're very drastic. My first 2 years, I was just so upset because I was putting in so much work, and my shooting percentages, I would granted get like 1 or 2 at the max, 3s a game. So it's hard to be super efficient when the pressure is really on for those couple shots. But the numbers don't lie. So it really allows you to look at improvements and really shoot for goals and keep yourself accountable.
As the Fever began to string together wins, the undeniable impact of their growing chemistry took center stage. We never turned on each other, Hull recalled, reflecting on the unity that carried them through even the toughest moments. That collective mindset became their secret weapon, and soon fans took notice. Arenas were packed, and social media buzzed with excitement. The Fever, once a team plagued by struggles, had now become a legitimate playoff contender. Hull described the electricity of playing in front of a sold-out crowd. It gave us an energy we hadn't felt in years. It's hard to put into words how much that means. The fan base's renewed passion was palpable, sparking a wave of pride throughout Indianapolis. It was more than just a team on a hot streak. It was a city united behind its fever.
All these people were supporting me this whole time, and I didn't know that they were supporting me until that moment. So like, you kind of forget that there's these people behind the scenes until they come out of the woodwork and say like, I've been following along this whole time. Like, I'm so proud of you. And that just feels so good to know that there's, such a community behind everybody on our team, even when you don't hear it every.
Their transformation wasn't just a comeback, it was a bold statement. With Caitlin Clark leading the charge and Lexie Hull hitting her stride, the Fever weren't merely satisfied with making the playoffs. They were determined to rewrite the narrative of what this team could truly accomplish. The question now was no longer if they'd succeed, but how far they could push the limits of their newfound strength. Could this unity withstand the weight of rising expectations, or would the pressure threaten to unravel it all?
When Erica Wheeler started swapping outfits, so where did that idea come from?
Our styles are so drastically different. So we were just joking, like, I wonder what it would look like if you could pull it off. And the first outfit was something so outside of what I would have ever picked out of my closet. And they're like, that's not going to look good on me. I'm like, all right, let's try. So then I tried it on and everyone was like, you pull it off, you pull it off. So then it just became part of the pregame tradition. And it's a really fun, lighthearted way to just, get us in the mood to play.
The Fever's rise wasn't just a shift on the court. It rippled through their lives off it as well. For players like Lexie Hull, newfound fame brought both exhilarating highs and unexpected hurdles. What used to be a simple grocery run in Nassau, Indianapolis quickly turned into impromptu meet and greets, with fans eager to connect. The transition from under-the-radar athletes to local celebrities was both exciting and overwhelming, but it was all part of the journey.
Walking through the grocery store in Indianapolis and trying to just go get some groceries and someone fist bumps me and says, "Go Fever." That's just a really cool environment, and it shows, the dedication of the fans and the fandom in the city. So that part's been awesome.
But the pressure of living in the spotlight wasn't always as glamorous as it seemed. With every game bringing packed arenas and social media buzzing with commentary, the Fever players found themselves constantly walking the fine line of fame. The spotlight was both a blessing and a burden, exhilarating yet demanding, as they navigated the complexities of public attention and expectations.
Pros, it's pretty obvious. We have people filling the stands. We have people cheering. We have people so excited for the individual success of the teams, but also the league as well as players. So there's so many more eyes on.
The benefits are clear: packed stands, roaring fans, and a palpable buzz of excitement. It's not just about the individual successes of players, but the collective growth of the team and the league as a whole. With more eyes on the game than ever before, the energy is electric and the support is undeniable.
It's hard. It's easy to say, don't read it, but everybody does a little bit. And I think it's having that support system to help keep you on track.
Even with their focused approach, the emotional weight of fame was undeniable. Hull opened up about the waves of self-doubt that hit, particularly after tough losses. It's part of the job, she acknowledged, but it's not easy. Despite these hurdles, the Fever found strength in each other. They forged a culture of support, holding one another accountable and blocking out the distractions of outside noise. In those moments, their bond became their greatest asset, reminding them that they were stronger together.
The biggest thing is finding people to kind of get you out of that cycle and get you to thinking about the positive things you did, even though a lot of times people online aren't talking about the positive thing.
The locker room quickly transformed into a sanctuary, a place where the Fever focused on growth, camaraderie, and collective progress, leaving outside pressures at the door. In the midst of it all, they learned to embrace the spotlight, without letting it define them. For Hull and her teammates, the season became more than just basketball. It was about navigating the weight of high expectations, thriving in a world where every moment mattered, and staying true to who they were, on and off the court.
The fact that people are talking about the WNBA, people are tuning in to our games, that's what we want to hear, and that's only going to get us farther as we go on.
The Fever's resurgence goes far beyond the typical narrative of wins and losses. It's about redefining the very essence of the franchise. It's a story of transformation, where the team rose from the depths of uncertainty to become a symbol of resilience and hope. With packed arenas, a vibrant fan base, and a culture founded on trust and accountability, the Fever are paving the way for long-term success. As Lexie Hull put it, We're not just playing for ourselves. We're playing for something bigger. Looking toward the future, the sky's the limit. With Caitlin Clark at the helm, leading the charge with her undeniable competitiveness, and Hull finding her rhythm at the top of her game, the Fever are poised for greatness. Add to that the dynamic presence of all-stars like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, and you have a roster brimming with potential. The Fever are no longer just playoff contenders. They're becoming a powerhouse. But this is only the beginning. The Fever have shown that they can rise above adversity, overcoming challenges and thriving in the face of pressure. Yet the next step remains: can they solidify their place among the WNBA's elite? Can they take that final leap to championship glory? Only time will tell. As the Fever continue their climb, one question remains: where do you think this talented team will be next year? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're always in the loop. Click on the next video for more, and we'll see you there.